Wendell Clark. Wendell, give those 4 magic words right now.
Gentlemen, start your engines. It's Wendell Clark from the Quebec Nordique giving the official signal. Gentlemen, start your engines. Car 9 is Robbie Gordon. There is car 1, the number 1, signifying the defending PPG championship. That is Nigel Mansell in the Newman Haas with the Lola chassis, the Ford Cosworth Power. On row 2, car 31 is Al Unser Jr. And car number 2 is the great Emerson Fittipaldi. Now there will be 3 laps. Car 40 is Scott Goodyear. That's Raul Boisel from Colombia alongside Scott Goodyear. Goodyear driving for Kenny Bernstein. There is Paul Tracy, the defending champion from West Hill, Ontario. So the cars now move out, and the 3rd time by, if they're in order, Bobby Unser, they should get the green flag, and we should be racing here in Toronto.
And you know, the 3rd time by, I think they'll get it, because at the start here, because you have a turn almost at the start-finish line, which is just right ahead of where you see the officials standing there, it's very difficult to keep the cars lined up good. So I think the starter is just going to go for it, Brian, almost no matter how they come across there.
This is the Lakeshore Boulevard straightaway. That is turn 3, the best to pass under braking. Let's run down the grid for you, then we'll introduce you in detail to this 1.78 mile track in Toronto. The pole belongs to Robbie Gordon from California, driving for Valvoline in a Lotus Ford. In a Ford Cosworth engine, Nigel Mansell, who had his worst race of the year alongside him on the first row. He had trouble here last year. There's Al Unser Jr., 5 victories so far in 1994, leading Penske. Another Team Penske driver, Emerson Fittipaldi, a winner this year in Phoenix, Arizona. On to row 3, there's Paul Tracy. Paul winning in Detroit after he knocked Al Jr. out of the race. Also on the 3rd row is Michael Andretti, driving for Chip Ganassi, a winner in Australia. Let's move on to row 4. Stefan Johansson at one time drove for Ferrari in Formula 1. Also on row 4, well-known Jimmy Vasser, driving car 18, well-known but has never really done much. This man has done a lot. Former Indy champion, won the first ever Molson Indy Toronto Bobby Rahal. Mario Andretti on the outside of row 5, his 400th career start here today. Adrian Fernandez from Mexico on the inside of row 6 here this afternoon. On the outside, a man from Milan, Italy, great soccer fan, Teo Fabi. So now let's run down the rest of the field for you. Montermini, young Italian. Gugelman from Brazil has been strong in practice. There's Jacques Villeneuve. Boisel and Goodyear. You had a close-up shot there a minute ago. On to row 10, Mike Groff and Scott Sharp. Greco and Mark Smith, who flipped his car in practice. Schiaparella, an Italian. Ari Luyendyk, an Indy 500 champion. Claude Bourbonnais from Quebec. Willie T. Ribbs, the lone and first black driver in Indy Car racing. Maschuster from Japan. Ross Bentley from British Columbia, and Jeff Wood rounds out this field. Now they've completed the first of 3 scheduled laps, and Bobby Unser, let's have a look at some statistics here. We'll look at the track in detail. The track here in Toronto, 1.78 miles, 2.87 kilometers. It starts there with a checkered flag, goes to the right of your screen, and then moves right to left along the bottom, and that's the fastest part of this track.
Yes, and the 2 places to pass. Look where the checkered flag is, that corner going right into number 1, and then figure the long straightaway, and right at the end of that is the second good place to pass. And ironically, it's basically the only 2 places to pass.
And Bobby, we should explain some of the flags the viewers will be seeing here this afternoon. The green flag is the one we're looking for after the 3rd lap here to officially get this underway.
Yes, and there's one flag missing. It's on there. The caution flag, will always watch for that. There's the white one with crosses on it. that tells you when a vehicle is on the road. In other words, if somebody stalls or has an accident, they have to put vehicles out. Sometimes the yellow flag only come in local areas. They don't go yellow all the way around unless the track is being blocked in some serious way.
Had a look at two of the Roger Penske cars there. Bobby Unser, what about the weather? It was hot and humid here Friday. Gordon qualifying under heavy air yesterday. Sunny, and the track surprisingly was not as fast. What do you get from being down in the pits this morning?
Well, I think the track is going to be good today. What happened is the Trans Am cars had a rubber, a compound that wasn't really making the rubber on the Indianapolis cars a happy type of rubber as far as sticking. Now, we haven't had the Trans Am cars on all day, but we've had the Indy lights, Brian, and this is going to help. Those tires seem to be kind of happy with these tires.
Well, you saw the signal, one more lap very quickly. Sally Larvick?
Yes, Brian, you know, on camera, Robbie Gordon said that he was going to conserve his tires on the start, but off camera, he was deciding whether to start on the inside or the outside of the front row. He has that option to see where the line was. Well, he looked at some videotapes, and he said the inside is the place to go, so it's no deal. He's going to go out there, and you bet he's going to race Nigel Mansell, and he's going to take the lead. Brian?
Just a little further explanation on that, Sally, to tell everybody the pole sitter as a reward gets right there. Robbie Gordon, we're on board with there, gets the reward of starting on the inside or the outside or wherever his choice is. That's kind of neat. That's a reward, one up for sitting on the pole.
Now, let's talk about the start of this race up along Exhibition Stadium. They'll go up under the Gardner Expressway. The start is going to be so crucial because car 9 is Gordon, car 1 is Mansell, followed by Unser, Fittipaldi, and Tracy, the three Penske cars. I mean, man, think about it. You're Robbie Gordon. You've never been on the pole. You got Mansell beside you. The three Penskes behind you. They're liable to run you right out the Prince's Gates.
Well, it isn't. They're not worried about running him out, Brian. Ironically, they're worried about him making a mistake, the pressure on him. How fast does he go at the start? Robbie is a very good race driver, but he doesn't come with years of experience.
We'll await the green flag. No, the yellow flag is out. So it's not an official start.
That was a big surprise to me, Brian. Now, these guys are using up fuel, but the starter made an issue out of it. They weren't lined up. It's a very difficult track to get lined up at. You can see in that shot that we just saw, the cars are in a corner. They can't even see the starting place.
Now, this lap they're on right now will count in the 98 lap total for the race. Bobby, talking about not being lined up, what's the problem here?
Well, Robbie Gordon is ahead by just a little bit. Not very much. I think that the flagman did a bad job on that particular start. He should have gone ahead and thrown the thing, especially with the type of track we have with the start-finish line right on the turn.
Well, he started him like that before. Robbie Gordon was on the left of your screen, car 9, as they go around turn 3 at the end of Lakeshore Boulevard. Michael Andretti following the three Penskes. There's Unser, Emerson Fittipaldi, Paul Tracy Jr., Michael Andretti, followed by Stefan Johansson. I think they should have started it. They did not, so we'll wait and see if they go this time around.
One of the problems that happens on those type of starts like that, on past us towards turn 1, is where Wally Dallenbeck sits. He's the guy that radios down, tells the starter whether to do it or not, and he can't really see what's going on down there.
Remember, Gordon will be on the left of your screen. The pole sitter Gordon right there, car 9, must cross the start-finish line first, and hang on, this should be outstanding into turn number 1.
Now Robbie's ahead again.
We have the green flag. We are racing in Toronto and into turn number 1. The pole sitter Robbie Gordon, followed by Mansell, Unser, Fittipaldi, and Paul Tracy. So it is a clean start to this 94 Molson Indy Toronto.
Well, the cars weren't lined up as good as they were before, but watch them vying for position, trying to do all the drafting they can. This is the fastback straightaway, 190 miles an hour.
Robbie Gordon through turn 3. Nigel Mansell, the three Penskes, and Michael Andretti making a move on Paul Tracy through turn 3. Gordon, Mansell, Unser, and look at this, Michael Andretti has passed 2 of the three Penskes driving for Chip Ganassi in that radar chassis. So Michael Andretti has got ahead of both Paul Tracy and Emerson Fittipaldi, and we have a minor bump bump, a little shunt down there in turn number 3. There's Robbie Gordon, followed by Nigel Mansell. And how about that, folks? Michael Andretti has moved up into 3rd place.
Now we'll go yellow all the way around. That's a complete track blockage. They should have thrown the red flag here at the start-finish line instead of the yellows, because the drivers don't realize it. There is no place for cars to go.
Now the drivers going through turn 1 will go on to Lakeshore Boulevard, and here's where the problem is. At the bottom of Lakeshore Boulevard, car 19 is Empedri, 22 is Mashusta, and Paul Tracy is into the pits. Tracy is into the pits, as is Al Unser Jr.
Well, they're obviously working on Tracy's car. The Al's car is the engine. They've took the engine cover off. That's really bad news. On Tracy's car, they're working on the suspension. He probably got a little bit of tapping. Either he did it or somebody did it to him.
Let's quickly go down to Sally Larbick. Sally?
Okay, and we're looking as they work on Paul Tracy's suspension on the right front, and we can see, if you look at the front wing, there is a tire mark. Looks like he brushed against somebody, and they're taking this opportunity to get it fixed before it goes green again. They're working awfully hard, but and also it looks like the front wing is broken in spots, so they're ripping a part of that off, seeing if they can fix it. They're going to tape it, Brian.
Well, that's interesting. It appeared to me if he bumped anyone, Bobby, and we could only see it in the distance, it might have been Michael Andretti as Michael went by him. And I'll tell you, Al Jr., winner of 5 races, has major problems. We're under a yellow flag here in Toronto. It's Robbie Gordon leading Nigel Mansell. The big story is Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti is 3rd in his Reynard Ford Cosworth. Al Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy are in the pits. We'll return live to Toronto right after this.
Diversity to city, town to town. Neighboring on turning points of interestingly satisfying a natural-born curiosity to say, what the? Why? Because I am.
At Cal Tire, it's our people who make the difference. Each member of our team is specially trained and committed to making sure you are totally satisfied with everything we do for you. And that you will be for a long, long time.
We're proud of our complete selection of quality Bridgestone tires and very proud of our people.
Cal Tire. You'll like us for more than our tires.
From sweet swings to the strut of champions, an all-star foursome converges on Montreal for the Export A Inc. Skins Game. Coverage begins next Saturday.
Jr. out of the car now. We understand, Al, that something broke in the engine. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. You know, that something in the engine. I don't know exactly what. So.
Where did you first notice it?
Coming off the turn 7, turn 8, something like that. The last sweeper in the back on the first lap, it just went away. It just all of a sudden. You know, there was no warning. Everything was great with the Marlboro car, and, you know, that's life.
Okay, that's the way it happens. Yeah. Thank you very much, Al. Brian?
All right, Sally, 3 laps complete, only 1 under racing conditions here in Toronto. Paul Tracy is back out car 3. The big story, though, that Al Unser Jr., who has won 5 of the last 7 races, is out of this race. 6 cars were involved in that minor shunt, that pushing, the minor crash. There's Paul Tracy. He'll have to work his way back up through the field when we start racing again. We're under a full course yellow. 6 cars, Bobby Unser, involved, but it looked to me like Michael Andretti out of turn 3, making the move on Paul Tracy, probably hit the right side of Tracy's car with his rear left wheel.
Well, you look at that's, I'm sure that's what happened. I mean, we didn't see any other thing close to an explanation that good, so I'm sure we're right on that. But if you look, Michael is already in 3rd place. You got Robbie Gordon, you got Mansell, and then Michael. So Michael's been working better at this race. He's hungry. Here we go down into turn 1 now.
Here's what started the full course yellow on the left. That's Sempedre. The white car is Mimo Schiatarella. Schiatarella spins. There is Claude Bourbonnais, car 30. Coming in is Willie T. Ribbs and Parker Johnstone. So that was down at the end of turn 3. One more lap, and we should be racing again. Ken Daniels?
Well, Brian just spoke with Chip Ganassi, and I asked him, was Michael bumped in there? Did he bump? And then he got on the radio and asked Michael if there was a bump, and Michael said no. And obviously, the plan is to go right after the Penske's off the top, and as Chip said, that's been the plan all year. Just nobody's been able to do it except us in the very first race. So far, so good for Michael, but they didn't think he was bumped.
All right,
actually, they wouldn't feel it sometimes. He didn't tear the wing off the car. It wasn't all that bad a bump. And often if you hit the rear with the front wing, the guy doesn't feel it there.
So it's Robbie Gordon, followed by Nigel Mansell, Michael Andretti. Emerson Fittipaldi is running 4th. Stefan Johansson 5th. Mario Andretti is 6th. Jimmy Vasser is 7th. Bobby Rahal is 8th. Adrian Fernandez 9th. Teo Fabi is 10th. On board with the race leader and the pole sitter, Robbie Gordon. Now we should be racing as they come down through the start-finish area. Robbie Gordon trying to break the Penske streak. That's the Gardner Expressway on the left. Downtown Toronto in the background as they now turn from going east. He heads straight south against Old Exhibition Stadium. Now down through this lightning fast turn 11, and the green flag should be out in Toronto. It is. We're back racing. Robbie Gordon followed by Nigel Mansell, Michael Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Stefan Johansson.
Gordon has really done a good job in both of his starts. Even though the second start at the beginning was more out of line than the first one was, Robbie Gordon is acting like he's really a veteran at this.
Robbie Gordon from Orange, California. Under braking into turn 3. Nigel Mansell is car 1. You're on board with Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti is running 3rd up the old third base side of Exhibition Stadium. That's Mansell just in front of Andretti, and then ahead of Mansell is this man, the race leader, Robbie Gordon.
You know, it's really ironic, Brian, that we see Michael Andretti. This is the first time that he's been competitive since Australia. This team has totally been out of it. In fact, Gugelman is his teammate. He's been out running Michael at every race.
Michael Andretti, of course, the only driver to win 3 times here in Toronto, so he loves racing here. We saw him in a Toronto restaurant last night, and he said, I'm confident, I'm ready to go. This Reynard chassis is finally what I expected it to be. Down onto Lakeshore Boulevard, on board with the race leader, Californian Robbie Gordon.
And you watch when he comes around through where we are, which is near the start-finish line or the last turns that are run on the front straightaway. Boy, look at that race into there.
Michael Andretti trying to go by Nigel Mansell. You see, he does not get by. And now, passing Andretti is Emerson Fittipaldi. So Michael Andretti going wide. Fittipaldi has passed him.
Michael tried an impossible pass on the left-hand side or the outside going into turn 3. You can't do that to Nigel Mansell. He's not going that slow.
Nigel Mansell is now running 3rd. Al Unser Jr. is out of the race. Here's the replay.
Look at this. Nigel's on the left. He's really got the line. Michael's on the outside. He's trying to bluff him out, but you're not going to do it. Now he slowly just pushes Michael over to the wall. Look at Michael bump the tires on the outside. Almost knocked him out of the race.
Robbie Gordon, the race leader. Emerson Fittipaldi has moved up, followed by Michael Andretti. There's Robbie Gordon, and now Nigel Mansell, now Emerson Fittipaldi, now Michael Andretti, and behind Andretti is Stefan Johansson.
I want you folks to watch Robbie Gordon when he comes in these turns. I started to say this before, in front of us here, and see how close he comes to the walls, Brian. He uses more racetrack than anybody at this race. Stefan Johansson getting sideways coming out of that turn.
Followed by Mario Andretti.
The guys are really trying hard now because early position is so important. The racetrack will only get worse as time goes on. It'll never get better.
And it's a tough racetrack, of course, to pass on. There's Johansson, followed by Mario Andretti and Bobby Rahal. Sally Larvik?
Yes, and you talked about Michael Andretti being hot, and indeed he is. And one of the reasons may be because he has a new engineer on board this race, and that is Morris Nunn, who was formerly with Raul Moisel. He has confidence in Morris, and Morris has confidence in him. And Bobby, you know as a driver that's very important. this way. Michael started the race in 6th position. Raul, without an engineer, started in 17th. Brian?
Well, you know, I think that Morris Nunn, who I've known for an awful long time, and he seems to kick around different teams. Look at Michael trying to pass on him on the inside there. Didn't make it, though. But, you know, Morris Nunn is just a guy, Brian, that comes with a legend. He comes from Formula One many years ago. He's not reliable. He never stays with one team very long. But the guy is, in my opinion, one of the smartest engineers in the business.
If we can hang on to this shot for just a minute, talk to me about shifting. You see the hand come off the steering wheel very quickly.
Yeah, and you notice it's very light and easy shifting. As I told you yesterday on our show, the shifts are now like motorcycle shifts. They just pull, like to go from 1st to 2nd to 3rd to 4th. They just keep coming back one knot. They don't go across an H pattern on the gear shift anymore.
This is the fastest turn in road racing in the world at 175 miles an hour. Michael Andretti closes up on Emerson Fittipaldi, now down through turn 1, turn 2, and onto Lakeshore Boulevard, and speeds of just under 200 miles an hour.
And also, let's keep in mind, so far we have Robbie Gordon leading the race, who's in a Lola chassis, Emerson Fittipaldi, who's in a Penske chassis, and Michael Andretti in one of the new Renard cars.
Well, you heard the engine shifting. Car 2 is Emerson Fittipaldi. Now, Paul Tracy is a lap down, so it'll be interesting to see Tracy try and work himself back up through the field. If you're just joining us, Al Unser Jr. is out of the race.
Tracy not only has to pass a lot of guys to do this, Brian, but he also has to pass the leaders and then hope for an all-around yellow flag, an all-course yellow. It's going to be very difficult.
That's Claude Bourbonnais going through turn 1, and Paul Tracy beginning to make his way back through this field. You are watching live coverage of the 1994 Molson Indy Toronto. What a story. Unser is out of this race. Back live in Toronto, on board with the race leader, Californian Robbie Gordon. It's Gordon first, followed by Nigel Mansell, Emerson Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, Stefan Johansson, Mario Andretti, Bobby Rahal, Jimmy Vasser, Adrian Fernandez, and Teo Fabi rounding out the top 10. Bobby?
Watch the steering wheel in Robbie Gordon's car. You can get a feel for how hard he's working it. Now, all the ones where he turns just into the turn is all okay and smooth. It's when he comes back to opposite lock sometime that he's getting loose. Now, he's been running plenty loose. He's driving the car probably about 105% of his normal capabilities. So let's watch and see how long he can do this, Brian.
Now Gordon has stopped. Robbie Gordon has stopped.
We didn't expect that. We didn't expect that at all. Here I was sitting, talking, and watching that, and I had no idea. And then when I saw all of the onboard computer stuff, I said, wow. Now what happened is he overshot a turn, it looks like, went in there and killed his engine. And so we were watching all the onboard computer stuff.
All right, let's see that again. The computer suddenly went dead, and here's why.
He's going in. What he's got is he got a left rear tire. Look at that over there. It's locked up, not turning. He had a flat, or maybe bounced off the wall. Remember, I said he's been going lock to lock. Now the car won't brake good. He really only has 2 tires that are braking good, so he goes into the run off the safety area. Really
so
bad for Robbie Gordon.
Robbie Gordon is out of this race. You saw the left rear tire. The leader is Nigel Mansell. Emerson Fittipaldi second. There's car 1, Mansell. Mansell had a minor crash here in practice Friday, running very smoothly here this afternoon. Ken Daniels?
Derek Walker, what happened with Robbie?
It appears he had a left rear tire went down just on the braking, so he had to shoot up the exit lane. So we're trying to get back and put another tire on and get going again.
Okay, Brian.
All right, it was the left rear tire, Bobby Unser, the left rear tire, and Robbie Gordon is back on the track. The wheel is still on the car. It's the same thing that happened to him yesterday. Yeah. Exact same thing.
Repeated yesterday, just a different side on there's the tire out on the track. Now, the question is, remember how close I said he runs to the walls? Did he hit the wall again? Now what we'll do is when he comes in for the pits, we'll have our cameras in there and see whether he hit the wall. We'll see the wheel broken if he did.
We're on a full course yellow, under a full course yellow. If you were with us yesterday afternoon, it was on Lakeshore Boulevard. Car 9, Robbie Gordon actually lost the rubber from one of the rear wheels. The wheel stayed on. The rubber went careening down the road. So back into the pits comes the Derek Walker car of Robbie Gordon. Gordon was third in Detroit and Portland. Let's see if we can see it. Watch the right of the screen there. It just simply seemed to shred, disintegrate.
He already knew. He'd already been in trouble. He's just trying to make it back to the pits. And so, you know, it just looks bad when you do that.
Here's how Michael Andretti saw it. There's the rubber to his right as he goes by. Robbie Gordon losing rubber on Lakeshore Boulevard. They lift off that shredded tire. They'll put a new one on, a new wheel as well.
We didn't see the outside of the wheel to see if he actually got into the wall or if he had a... Sometimes the tires just get punctured like we first thought yesterday. But sometimes if they tap the wall with them, it breaks the rim, they lose air instantly. Then, of course, it looks like a blowout.
Well, they've picked up the rubber on Lakeshore Boulevard. Robbie Gordon is back out. We're under a full course yellow here in Toronto. So, interesting developments to say the least. Car 9 is Robbie Gordon. Gordon, 14 laps complete, now drops down in the standings. He is running 27th. And some problems here as well. Also on Lakeshore Boulevard is
Jeff Wood. Jeff Wood has quit. Something happened to him. He's waving to everybody. There's a yellow flag. You see it waving there. That means a local yellow. Cars are having problems all over, but I don't see anything wrong with Jeff at the moment.
So it's Nigel Mansell leading Emerson Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, Stefan Johansson, and Mario Andretti. Boy, it's been a strange afternoon in Toronto.
Welcome back to the 1994 Molson Indy. Here is the tire of Robbie Gordon, the left rear. According to Derek Walker's crew, he just blew it out under braking. Didn't hit anything, and asked him if there's any damage to the car. There isn't, but as you can see, that tire, and we talked about it in qualifying, just blew right apart under braking. Brian, Bobby?
All right, Kenny, a tough break for Robbie Gordon. Gordon, who was leading and was the pole sitter, is now running in 27th position. There is car 12. That is Jacques Villeneuve. Well, we have a chance here under full course yellow in Toronto. Car 3 is Paul Tracy, who's 24th, trying to work his way back up through the field. Car 9 is Robbie Gordon, now listed by the computer as running in the number 27 position. Let me give you the Canadians. Jacques Villeneuve is 12th. Scott Goodyear is running 14th. Claude Bourbonnais is running 20th at this point. Paul Tracy is running 24th. And the other Canadian, Ross Bentley from Vancouver, actually one car in front of Paul Tracy, running in the number 23 position. So a full course yellow here in Toronto. The race leader is Nigel Mansell. Emerson Fittipaldi is running second. Michael Andretti is third. Stefan Johansson is running fourth. Mario Andretti is running fifth as they come down Lakeshore Boulevard. Car 1 is Mansell. There's Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, Johansson, Mario Andretti, Bobby Rahal. I tell you, Rahal, Teo Fabi not running a bad race there for Pennzoil. Gugelman in the Hollywood car. Gugelman, the Brazilian, has been very, very strong in practice. And let's go down to the pits and Sally Larvick. Sally?
Well, if you think it's confusing up there, you should be down here in the pits. We were standing here kind of minding our own business when Roger Penske came running in, practically bowling us over, to talk to Clive Howell after this yellow occurred. He said, give him fuel, bring him in, give him fuel. We need to catch up. So it was all a tizzy here. We were going to talk to Clive, but right now he's a little bit busy trying to figure out fuel and whether or not he's going to bring him in on the yellow or keep him out on the green. Now, their story is that Michael Andretti did hit Paul Tracy in the back and did hit him in the front too. And I know Michael's pit is saying something totally different, but they've got him back out again. They're going to try to get him back on the first lap, but it's a little hectic down here right now.
All right, Sally, 16 laps complete here in Toronto this afternoon. And I'll tell you what, my partner here, Bobby Unser, this yellow sort of messes up your fuel calculations.
Well, it certainly does, but it's really helping out all the teams. This track, because of the awesome speed that you have here, the long straightaways, uses a lot of fuel. So even though the guys that cause these problems don't like the yellows, but the other people in the race, they loving it because now it's getting them out of having a fuel problem.
Well, you saw the sign, Arrivederci Mario, Forza Italia. I tell you, the Andrettis are now running third and fifth. Michael third, and Mario is 5th. At least one more under the full yellow. Car 15 is Mark Smith from McMinnville, Oregon, in a Lola Ford Cosworth. That's Derek Walker's other car, so poor Derek not having a lot of luck here today, Bob.
I know it, and we just keep seeming to be having problems. We're under yellow. Nobody's doing any racing, and the cars just keep quitting. I don't know what's going on out there.
You know, we're looking at the 9th Molson Indy Toronto, the first ever Indy car race in this country, and they're getting ready to go back to racing. Was in 1967. There is John Bassett, who works with Bayton Broadcasting with the black shirt. His late father, Johnny Bassett Jr., who died of cancer, a major force. That's Bobby in the picture. Is that the trophy you won in 1967?
Believe it or not, I met this man just the other night. He told me he had the trophy that I won. I said, that was my first IndyCar race win ever, right here in Milesport, Canada. And there's the trophy, and by golly, he brought it out here today and gave it to me. Now, that was nice.
Well, the young guy on the videotape was John Bassett. I want to know who the young guy in the picture was with the dark hair.
Ah, that was yours truly, by golly.
The late John Bassett, of course, a great sportsman involved with the Argonauts, the Tampa Bay teams in soccer, the Toronto Northmen, the ill-fated Northmen, and of course a big supporter. He was a great tennis player, Davis Cup tennis player, and a major supporter of auto racing here in Toronto. The green flag should come out. Nigel Mansell has the green flag. We are back racing in Toronto through turn 1. Mansell, Michael Andretti goes by Emerson Fittipaldi, and Fittipaldi is dropped down to 3rd place. Brilliant driving by Michael Andretti.
What a pass that was. Michael went in there, almost lost it. Really stuck his head out on that one there.
It's Michael Andretti, the red car, the target car, followed by Fittipaldi. Hey, Stefan Johansson, Mario Andretti, and Bobby Rahal. Stefan Johansson driving a big race here for the Bettenhausen team this afternoon.
I don't think I've ever seen the guys up in the front try so hard at the start. Of course, Michael is the hardest of all of them. He's really got it stretched out hard.
Well, Michael Andretti has moved into 2nd place. Mario Andretti is running 5th. I mentioned that Bobby Unser won at Mosport in 1967 in an Eagle Ford. At Saint-Jovite, Quebec in 67, Mario Andretti won. Here's the replay. Left of your screen.
Right underneath. He's already got him blocked, but look at Michael. He almost spun going in. Using all the brakes he could use, just barely made it. That was a good pass.
On board with Robbie Gordon. Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter and the early race leader, trying to work his way back up through the field as he suffered the shredded tire. And we've got more problems on Lakeshore Boulevard. That looks like Zampedre.
Yes, it is, and obviously the car just quit. There's no damage to it. He had an engine or a transmission problem. They're just not going to go. They're going to have to tow him in. Now, that's been the story of our race so far this early. Just tow in cars.
Alessandro Zampedre in a Lola Ford Cosworth driving for Dale Coyne Racing. Emerson Fittipaldi, followed by Stefan Johansson, Mario Andretti, and Bobby Rahal. Down through the start-finish area comes Emerson Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi pursued by Johansson, Mario Andretti, and Bobby Rahal. They are running 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively. On to Lakeshore Boulevard, and a tremendous battle here. Car 2 is Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi's 3rd. There's Johansson. There's Mario. There's Bobby Rahal.
Look at how tight the race is. Now this is in the yellow area. They can't pass there. They like to. Look how the whole field is bunched up there. Good racing. Too bad we're having these yellow.
Car 40, Scott Goodyear. There's Paul Tracy as he tries to work his way back up through this field. Claude Bourbidet is car 30, the race leader. Car number 1 is Nigel Mansell. And interesting to see Mansell leading a race here in Toronto, Bobby. Michael Andretti is 2nd in the Reynard chassis as they come down through the right-left combination. This is the fastest turn on any road course in the world. Michael Andretti is running 2nd to Mansell. And talking about Nigel Nigel Mansell in the distance. He's the leader onto Lakeshore Boulevard in car number 1. He crashed twice here practicing in 93, qualified 9th in 93, went out with turbo problems in 93, crashed here in practice on Friday. Finally, he appears to have it all together.
Now keep in mind another thing. There's Michael. We're on board with him right there. Beautiful camera shot. There's Nigel right up ahead of him. This is the tire. It's the chassis moving up and down, not the tire so much, incidentally. But remember, Michael is going to have that team right ahead of him. Now he's going to try to prove a point to him. It's, you know, Nigel Mansell is where Michael used to be. Michael is going to go back there. That's the Carl Haas, Paul Newman team.
So what you're saying is that when Mansell leaves to return to Formula One in 1995, Michael Andretti will return to Paul Newman and Carl Haas. You are watching live coverage of the 1994 Molson Indy Toronto. It's Mansell followed by Andretti and Fittipaldi. Turn 3, car 1, the race leader Nigel Mansell. Right on his tail is Michael Andretti, and about 8 seconds behind Andretti is car 2, Emerson Fittipaldi, followed by Stefan Johansson, Mario Andretti, and there is Bobby Rahal, who won the first ever Molson Indy Toronto 9 years ago.
Now Emo's running 3rd place, as you said, Brian, but remember what he has to think about. He's behind quite a bit to Little Al in the point standing. He must finish. In other words, he can't get up and race the guys too hard and risk losing an engine, a transmission, or a minor accident. There's Bobby Rahal making an attempted pass. It wasn't going to be too hard, though. So what Emo has to do is really worry about points.
On board with Bobby Rahal as they come down into turn 11 as he pursues Mario Andretti. Rahal is running 6th. Andretti in front of him is 5th. Turn 1 back onto Lakeshore Boulevard.
They two have really been having a knockdown, drag-out race. Now, Bobby Rahal, who we're on board with right here now, Mario Andretti right in front of him there. This is the new Honda. The new Honda meaning the one that fires 2 cylinders at one time, very much the same as the Elmore and the Ford Cosworth, which is in Mario's car right there.
Nigel Mansell, the race leader. Michael Andretti in that Reynard chassis is really giving him a run.
And these are both Ford-powered engines right here, the Ford Cosworth engines.
You can see the difference in the chassis. Andretti's car, running behind Mansell, seems to have sort of a low tub-like structure underneath the cockpit.
That's the new Reynard car, and the idea is to try to pump more air underneath the wings to get it to the tunnels. The tunnels are the part that sucks the car to the ground. That's the intent of that. It's a common thing that they've done all over the world.
Bobby, let's see if he'll make an attempt to pass him. I don't think so. It's under braking here on Lakeshore Boulevard. He's going to try, but he cannot do it. Mansell holds him off.
Yeah, he's almost touching Nigel. I mean, that was really, really, really close. I'll bet you that there wasn't 2 to 6 inches, something like that, between Michael's nose and that white car that had the transmission in the back of Michael almost hit him.
Absolutely magnificent camera work by our crew here this afternoon as Michael Andretti is by Nigel Mansell.
No question Michael is faster. When you're pushing somebody as hard as he was, Nigel, he's going to get by someplace, and Nigel knew that was going to happen. I would say Nigel looks to me like he's got a loose rear end. He's going to really be happy when a pit stop happens because he's going to adjust his car a little bit.
Nigel Mansell appears to have a flat tire. He does. Back rear right tire. Oh my.
We knew something was wrong. We had to know that because he was slowing down. There goes Emo by. Now there's nothing Nigel can do. He just got to sweat this out, go around as slow or as fast as he can without hurting anything.
Rahal goes by. So Nigel Mansell, oh my, who went out with a blown turbo in 1993, is about to lose all the rubber on Lakeshore Boulevard. Gugelman goes by.
What a terrible thing to have happen to Nigel. Obviously it was a flat. It didn't look like he hit anything. What happens is these tires don't have tubes in them, no inner tubes. They're really thin tires, and if they run over something like a bolt, a rock, anything like that, it punctures them.
Jacques Villeneuve has just gone by. Villeneuve will move up to 11th place. He is the top Canadian. If you're just joining us, Paul Tracy, they're trying to work his way up through the field. Al Unser Jr. is out. Emerson Fittipaldi is now in second place behind the race leader, Michael Andretti.
This is really going to hurt Nigel because he did it in a bad place. He has to go almost an entire lap around with a flat tire. That really cost a lot of time. Almost exactly what happened to Robbie Gordon.
Jacques Villeneuve is car 12. Let's have a look at it again. Is it flat when he comes by the pits?
Yes, it was already flat. The problem is now he doesn't realize it's flat until he tries to stop right here. Now watch. Look at all the locking up and the smoke flying. He doesn't know it till right now. He knew the car wasn't handling good, but he didn't know what was wrong. And it was already, when you saw Michael pass him, he was already having problems.
There's the pass. Michael Andretti taking the lead in the Reynard Ford Cosworth. Mansell will come back out onto the track. He's now listed as in 23rd place. And let's check in with Sally Larvik. Sally?
Okay, and you can see the tire. It was a right rear tire. It's totally almost off the rim. Now, from what we heard from the Newman Haas team is that he just didn't blow a tire. They said that an observer said that Michael Andretti ran into him, and that was the reason why he had a flat. They brought him in very quickly to change the tire and set him back out again.
Now that very easily could have happened. You remember when he went down into that turn, down to number 3 turn, Brian, we said, wow, it looked like he was like Michael was touching Nigel. And that very easily could have cut the tire right then and there.
That's Teo Fabi, followed by Andrea Montermini. There's Emerson Fittipaldi, who is running second. Emerson Fittipaldi is second. Stefan Johansson is third. Mario Andretti is fourth. Bobby Rahal is fifth. How about Jimmy Vasser? He's running sixth. Fernandez from Mexico City is seventh. Gugelman, the Brazilian, is eighth. Ninth is Fabi. Montermini is 10th. And Jacques Villeneuve is the top Canadian in the number 11 position. Jim
Fast.
Andretti, he's running fourth, followed by Bobby Rahal. The race leader is Michael Andretti, now by 12 seconds over Emerson Fittipaldi. We're on board with Bobby Rahal as he pursues Mario Andretti onto Lakeshore Boulevard.
Well, how do you like that camera shot? Now, that's the camera shots of all of them right there. That's really what a driver's looking at when he's driving the car.
This is one of the great shots in sport. Up close to Andretti, it's one of the few shots that gives you the perspective and the speed of auto racing.
Yes, and it shows depth perception. It's in the center of the car. It's a real shot. Notice how he pulls up on the turns, loses down on the straightaways. It isn't the engine. That's just normal because the straightaway's so much faster. They've been having a race since the start just about like this, even closer sometimes.
Bobby Rahal won the first ever Molson Indy Toronto. That was back in 1986. Mario Andretti in his 400th career IndyCar start here today, and his final Toronto appearance.
Coming down right in front of the pit area now. The turns that are so fast. Right where we're setting, right down into turn 1 now. One of the good places to pass. Down the long back straightaway on board now. Bobby Rahal on the side cam. Down the back straightaway, 190 miles an hour down here.
Rahal's got more cameras on board than a television studio here this afternoon.
He's got more than we do, doesn't he, Brian?
I think so. Michael Andretti is the race leader, now by 12.5 seconds over Emerson Fittipaldi. Johansson is third. Mario is fourth. There's Stefan Johansson. Stefan Johansson's driving a good race today.
Yes, he is. And he's a guy, sorry to say, that's had a lot of problems this year. That's another Reynard car. Look at the front wings. That little curve shape to them that you mentioned, that's how you can tell a Reynard really easy from the Lolas or the Penske's.
Well, I mentioned he's a veteran of Formula One. He drove for Ferrari, McLaren, Guy Ligier, and Onyx. So the Italian fans, the Tifosi, certainly remember Stefan Johansson driving a big race. Now, Johansson's best ever IndyCar results, you people in Vancouver remember this man. He was third in Vancouver in 1992.
But he's always been a potential winner. If Stefan just had a little bit of luck sometimes, look at Ray Hall trying to take a swing at Mario there. There's Jimmy Vassar in the blue and white, number 18.
Adrian Fernandez from right Mexico. Behind from Mexico City.
Where you see Tecate beer, that's the Mexico car.
Tecate beer and the Hollywood car. There's the Tecate. Hollywood is Maurizio Gugelmin from Brazil.
And that's a cigarette company. Everybody keeps asking, what is Hollywood? They think it's Hollywood, California. It isn't. It's a cigarette company, I think, in Brazil.
Bobby Rahal pursues Mario Andretti. It's been a strange afternoon in Toronto as we go back on board with Bobby Rahal. Rahal with the Honda power, and Rahal, Bobby Unsers, had a strange couple of years going back to 93 when he failed to qualify for the Indianapolis 500.
And remember another thing, every time Rahal runs, or Groff, those guys get new engines. They're all in the development series. Honda's developing engines. They don't really have a known quantity going yet. So sometimes their reliability's not been too good, but right now the car's running fast. They've got the engine running much better.
Of course, Honda, slow starting in IndyCar racing. Those Honda engines, Bobby, dominated Formula One for so many, many years. Mario Andretti, pursued by Bobby Rahal. Rahal, I mentioned, won here in 1986. He was also the pole sitter here in Toronto in 87 and again in 1992.
Look at Rahal. He's just all over Michael. And, you know, Michael, every time he looks at the rearview mirror, he says, doggone, he's still there. This is a fast place. Right there is where Brian Herter crashed yesterday.
The top Canadian is Gilles Villeneuve. He is running 11th. Scott Goodyear is running 13th. Paul Tracy is still only 23rd as he had trouble early trying to work his way back up through the field. Tracy actually had the right part of his front wing bump, had to come into the pits. The other two Canadians, Bourbonnais is running now 19th and Bentley is 20th. On board with Bobby Rahal up along the northern part of this track. That's the Gardner Expressway, raised above on his left, downtown Toronto in the distance, back up against Old Exhibition Stadium. Now, the left turn, the right turn, and the turn they call the fastest in the world, turn 11 in road racing.
And that yellow deal that's on our right that you go by there, that's the pit entrance. They come awfully close to that as they come by the straightaway there.
Here's the race leader. That's Michael Andretti, driving for Chip Ganassi, a Reynard chassis and a Ford engine. Michael Andretti now leading by just under 13 seconds over car 2. That is Emerson Fittipaldi. And I'm going to tell you something, Bobby. It's still early, but if there's one man, there's Johansson, or excuse me, that is not Johansson, there's Fittipaldi. And if there's one car to look out for here this afternoon, Fittipaldi was pursuing Dominic Dodson, one of the back markers. If there's one car to look out for, I think it's this man.
Well, you have to remember now, Emo is obviously faster than he looks like right now. He's in a Penske car, and we all know that that's the best car this year. The problem is Emo's falling behind little Al in the point. He has to finish this race to stay in the battle for the point. So he's got to play a little bit conservative, and that's the only reason that he's this far behind Michael.
You are watching live exclusive coverage of the 1994 Molson Indy Toronto. We'll return right after this. With Bobby Unser, Sally Larvick, and Ken Daniels, I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to Toronto. Car 2 is Emerson Fittipaldi on the 39th of 98 laps here this afternoon. He is now 13.5 seconds behind the race leader, Michael Andretti. Emerson Fittipaldi won here in Toronto in 1987. was the pole sitter here in Toronto in 86, 89, and last year in 1993. The race, of course, last year won by his teammate Paul Tracy.
Fittipaldi right there in the Penske car. The only Penske car left that's really in contention out of 3 cars. Little Al broken engine. Paul Tracy obviously hit somebody or somebody hit him into the pits. There's Emil coming in right now for pit stop.
Michael Andretti also in the pits. And let's go down to Sally Larkin.
And you had mentioned earlier that Emerson
is from Mexico City, Mexico. He was 7th at Cleveland, his best finish of the year. He was 8th in Long Beach, California.
And he was almost kind of the star of the show in Australia.
That's Gugelmin, car 88, the Hollywood car. He's 5th, followed by Mario Andretti, who is 6th. And Paul Tracy trying to work his way back up through this field, but Tracy is still 2 laps down. On board now with Gugelmin.
Now here's a guy that a lot of the teams are looking at for next year. He came in strictly as a pay driver. He had to bring this Hollywood cigarette company with him in order to get a ride. Chip Ganassi owns that car. They have ironically been faster than Michael Andretti all year. Right now is when Michael's really making him take another look, though.
Well, he's a former Formula One driver on board with Gugelmin. Into turn 1 onto Lakeshore. I mentioned Formula One. You know, he was 3rd in the 1989 Brazilian Grand Prix. He drove in 74 Formula One races, Bobby. He's been 8th at Cleveland, 7th at Long Beach this year, and 6th in the season opener in Australia.
And he's actually, aside from anything that you could ever say, the guy's a good racer. I've been watching him all year. Really does a good job.
There's Mario Andretti, who trails Gugelmin by about 2 seconds. Stefan Johansson there. Johansson is running 7th, just ahead of Montermini.
As you watch Mario Andretti, keep in mind, look at him good, because you're not going to see him here anymore. He's on his last year. He's retiring at the end of the year, and we're all going to be sad because of it, but it's nice to see him finish out the year knowing that this is going to be his last.
Stefan Johansson, we talked about Gugelmin and his background in Formula One. This is looking back from Gugelmin's car. Oh, what a great shot this is, heading down onto Lakeshore Boulevard. That's Mario Andretti off in the distance. Now watch, if we can hang with this shot, what happens when they come into turn 3. Gearing down, under braking, and watch Mario right up on his rear.
This shot just gives you such a good feel of speed. Cars go from very slow, maybe down that number 3 turn, probably 60 miles an hour. You know, from 190 down to 60, and then right back up to 130, 150. It's awesome.
If you listen, you can hear the shifting. Now to Stefan Johansson, who's running 7th. There's Robbie Gordon in the pits, the pole sitter and the early race leader. Gordon was running 18th when he came in. He will drop down a couple of places. It'll be interesting to see if Paul Tracy can catch him. Gordon is back out on the track. He has now dropped down to 20th place.
Boy, still having braking problems. He's got too much brake on the front end of that thing, unless he has the rear tire going flat. Should be, because he just got new ones put on. Robbie Gordon, right there in the number 9 Valvoline car, is probably the most sought-after young driver in Indy Car racing today.
Well, the top Canadian is now Scott Goodyear running, Jacques Villeneuve is now up to 12th. Goodyear is 14th. Bentley has dropped down to 15th. Paul Tracy is 18th, and Claude Bourmonnet is 22nd. There's Willie T. Ribbs, Raoul Boisel, as they go through turn 3. Boisel is running 10th in this race. Ribbs is way back, 2 laps down in 21st position.
There's number 71, the red and blue car right there. The red, white, blue car, number 71. That's Scott Sharp, Trans Am champion. One of the 2 cars in the race that don't have sponsorship. Dominic Dobson and the number 71 car have no sponsorship, owned by Pac West Racing of the West Coast.
And there's a man with a ton of sponsorship in the race lead. That's Michael Andretti. We'll return live to Toronto right after this. Back in Toronto, on board with Jacques Villeneuve, driving for Forsyth Green into turn 1. Villeneuve, car 12, is also, ironically, the top Canadian, running in 12th place.
He's slowly been moving up, but you know, I've been mentioning the surprises at this race. This is another one of the surprises. with Jacques Villeneuve. And the fact is he just hasn't been going as fast during practice qualifying as we expected him. He's really been the star all year in most of the IndyCar racing. Other than Little Al, he's probably the most talked about driver that there is this year.
On board with the race leader, Michael Andretti, but let's stay with Jacques Villeneuve for just a minute. Villeneuve was second in the Indianapolis 500, qualified on the front row at Phoenix next to the eventual winner. Michael Andretti there, car 8 is the race leader.
He's been going through traffic. Well, he's had a couple of close calls right there that I saw. That's the biggest problem that a leader has, is going through the traffic. Look at this. Smoking his tires, getting in. He's got to pass them in order to protect his position, but well, it's a good place to have an accident.
On Lakeshore Boulevard, Ross Bentley on the right of your screen is car 39. Bentley.
Look at Michael. He's getting blocked down there, zigzagging back and forth, doesn't know where to pass. Justin, those guys are so busy they can't watch their mirrors to see that he's there. Look at Michael. He's mad. Says, man, you guys ought to get out of my way. That's the rule.
Now he's mad at Ross Bentley. That is Ross Bentley from Vancouver, now running 20th. Ross Bentley is 2 laps down, about to go 3 laps down right here to the leader, Michael Andretti.
Well, he finally got by all those cars. He had a lot of close misses there. Almost got in trouble several times. That's what the drivers worry about the most.
So Michael Andretti has now completed 58 of 98 laps here in Toronto. Michael Andretti won the season opener in Australia, but since then it has been all Penske. There is only one Penske car here in contention. That's Emerson Fittipaldi. He is 11 seconds back in 3rd place. Let's very quickly, Bobby Unser, run down the top 10. The race leader is Michael Andretti. Bobby Rahal is second. There's Rahal. Car 2 is Emerson Fittipaldi as they go by Claude Bourbonnais. Fittipaldi is running 3rd. Bourbonnais is back in 22nd position. Adrian Fernandez is 4th. Gugelmin is 5th. And continuing with the top 10, Mario Andretti is 6th, Johansson 7th, Von Termini 8th, Bobby 9th, and Raul Boisel is now 10th. The top Canadian is still Villeneuve, running 12th, but I'll tell you what, I think Emerson Fittipaldi is getting ready to make a move on Rahal, who's being slowed by traffic.
Yeah, that's the same group of cars that we just saw Michael having so much problem with. Now, Rahal's only cut 2 more ahead of him. He's been whittling down on him pretty good, but these guys are considerable slower. Now, Rahal has only been 9 seconds behind Michael Andretti, so he's been gaining. The problem is he's got all this traffic, and he's got that number 2 car of Emerson Fittipaldi right behind him.
That's Zampedre right in front of him. Alessandro Zampedre on the right. And Willie T. Ribbs, that's Bourbonnais, has spun Claude Bourbonnais. So Bobby Rahal still trying to get by Willie T. Ribbs. And look at this.
Look at
Emerson Fittipaldi is all over Rahal.
Emmo's all over him. I mean, if that Rahal gets hung up with just a little bit of traffic, Emmo's going to get him.
Boy, I tell you, this is a great race for 2nd place. There's Zampedre, there's Willie T. Ribbs. They are both a couple of laps down, followed by this man, Rahal, who is 2nd, 11 seconds behind Michael Andretti. Oh, what a great shot as we go through the start-finish area with Bobby Rahal. Now, Rahal will try and reel in Willie T. Ribbs. That's Ribbs immediately in front of him. He should be able to blow by Ribbs under braking.
Well, you know, you got to remember, this track is so hard to pass on, Brian, that these guys sometimes work as hard with the lap cars as they do with the cars that they're racing with.
Boy, and he does not get him under braking at the end of turn 3. So Willie T. Ribbs and Alessandro Zampedre still holding up Bobby Rahal and Emerson Fittipaldi, who are running 2nd and 3rd respectively.
You know, it's terrible when you're in the position that Rahal is in. Ammo behind you, lap cars in front of you, and you're saying, wow, I just need some clean air so I can get going. That's another thing that I need to mention, is that the cars that they're in front of you messes up the air, or makes it very turbulent for the wings of the cars behind, and also for the ground effects underneath.
Right now at 170 miles an hour through the start for the Chariot. On board with Bobby Rahal, and he still cannot get by Willie T. Ribbs.
I'm totally astounded by that. Willie T. has not been that fast in practice or qualifying or at any time this weekend. And Bobby's really having a problem with him now. Rahal's not going slow. Ribbs has just been going faster, which is a good sign for Ribbs.
Well, Rahal is by Ribbs. Now Ribbs is between Rahal and Fittipaldi.
Now, Ribbs,
you are watching live coverage of the 1994 Molson Indy Toronto. It's Michael Andretti with the lead. Back live in Toronto, that looks like Hiro Matsushita that has gone into the wall in turn one. There's Emerson Fittipaldi. Now, Fittipaldi just went into the pits, so he is now running 7th. It's Michael Andretti first, Bobby Rahal second, Adrian Fernandez third, Gugelmin is fourth, Mario Andretti fifth, Johansson 6th, Fittipaldi 7th, Montermini 8th, Bobby 9th, Boissel is 10th. There's the race leader, Michael Andretti. The top Canadian is Jacques Villeneuve, running 12th. Sally Larvick?
Okay, we talked about Emerson Fittipaldi coming in the pits, and he's still having tire problems. They said that when he came in, they give him the original tire pressure, lower it a bit, which they did, but he's still not satisfied, and that may be one of the reasons why he's having a somewhat difficult time out on the track. We'll have to watch and see.
Now, when Roger's crew brought Emo in, or his crew brought him in, he has 36 laps left to go. Now, I would have got a little bit more buffer. In other words, they could have brought Emo in 1 or 2 laps after that, made his deal a little bit more comfortable in case he gets to handling good. Because when you handle good, Brian, you use more fuel.
This is a 98-lap race. You're looking at the race leader, Michael Andretti, who is now on lap 65. He is pursuing Teo Fabi, who is running 9th. And Teo Fabi is about to go a lap down. Michael Andretti, a 3-time winner in Toronto, attempting to win for the 2nd time here in 1994.
The only change that team has had is they have a new engineer by the name of Morris Nunn. The renegade, I call it. Won't you see Michael coming off that turn, really loose at the very end? Morris Nunn is the only guy that's new to this team. The only change that's been made. Michael runs or goes from running from 10th to 15th up to lead the race. Now, isn't that something?
Michael Andretti on board with Andretti as he will attempt to lap Teo Fabi. Fabi is running 9th for Jim Hall Racing.
The camera is on the wing of this car, on board with Michael Andretti again. And the car, it looks like the car is sitting still, the tires are moving. It's the other way around. The cameras don't always tell us, I guess, 100% of the truth, because it's a car that's moving there.
Michael Andretti goes by Teo Fabi, so Fabi, who is running 9th for Texan Jimmy Hall of Can-Am fame, has now gone a lap down to the race leader, Michael Andretti. You are watching live and exclusive coverage of the 1994 Molson Indy Toronto. It's Michael Andretti, followed by Rahal, Fernandez, and Gugelmin. And back live in Toronto on board with Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter. Whoa, and he gives the high sign to one of the back markers.
Yeah, that guy really should have gotten out of the way. I agree with Robbie Gordon on that one. He's running 190 miles an hour roughly down there, and the guy's in the middle of the road going slow. I agree with Robbie on that one.
All right, as we stay on board with Gordon the pole sitter, and the early race leader had a tire simply shred and come apart on Lakeshore Boulevard. Robbie Gordon is running 18th. He is 2 laps behind the leader, Michael Andretti. Just behind him is Nigel Mansell, running 19th, also had tire problems. He is 2 laps down. Paul Tracy is running 17th. Paul Tracy had trouble. He had the front wing of his car bumped. It looked to me like it was like by Michael Andretti. So Paul Tracy is also 2 laps down and running 17th. That is Adrian Fernandez. Tracy just went through behind him. There is Paul Tracy just off in the distance behind Gugelmin. The Hollywood car is Gugelmin running 4th. Paul Tracy trying to work his way back up through this field. Willie T. Ribbs goes through. Now there's Gugelmin, and right there, the Marlboro Car 3 is Paul Tracy, the defending champion from West Hill, Ontario. Paul Tracy having trouble climbing back through this field, standing 17th, 2 laps down in this race.
That doesn't mean that they're not fast. You know, once you're a lap down, and especially on a road circuit, it's really hard to get it back. And for them to gain that back, and plus they're, you know, in an honest way, the track is almost 2 miles around. It's almost impossible. Looks like Michael Andretti, or excuse me, Mario Andretti, slowing down on the right there. We'll get back to him again in just a moment. But at any rate, some of those guys, like for example Tracy, Gordon, and Mansell, they just ease up a little bit because they realize they can't get back what they've lost.
Adrian Fernandez trying to go by Willie T. Ribbs. Adrian Fernandez, a great story from Mexico City. That's Teo Fabian, the Pennzoil car. Willie T. Ribbs on the left. Takati is Adrian Fernandez. And look at this, Paul Tracy, the Marlboro car.
3 and 4 abreast.
Oh, Fernandez is out of this race.
I just started to say 3 and 4 abreast, and they can't get in the turns like that.
Tracy is through. Tracy is through. Gugelmin, this is a big disappointment for Gugelmin. Mike Groff is car 10. That's Willie T. Ribbs. Going through is Emerson Fittipaldi, but boy, I'll tell you, the disappointment is this man, Gugelmin, who was running in 4th place. Bobby Rahal running 2nd is into the pits. Rahal comes in 21 seconds behind the leader, Michael Andretti. Ken Daniels?
Well, Brian, tire pressure continues to be a story. Earlier here, the Goodyear people came by and lowered the tire pressure in Bobby Rahal's tires, and now they've increased it a little bit. I said to Carl Hogan, I said, is a slow traffic killing you? And he said, yeah, and it's a slow death. That's the biggest problem, Brian.
Look at all these cars side by side. Everybody's trying to get down. 2 of them go over Willie T. Ribbs. Willie T. saw the problem. He slowed down. Obviously, it was going to be a problem. Both the guys went right over him. There's Paul Tracy in the number 3 car. Josh Lucky is all I could say about him.
Now on board with Robbie Gordon, the pole sitter. And now let's stay with this. This is great. This is turn 3. He is right behind. That's probably either Fittipaldi or it's Paul Tracy. It's one of the Penske cars.
Yes, and you know, you might as well be at the Civic Center down in Los Angeles. The traffic jam is so bad.
There's Willie T. Ribbs. Now, was it Ribbs' fault or was it Fernandez's fault on the inside?
In fact, this thing I got to call it like it is. That's a racing accident. I mean, there's nothing anybody could do about that. They just all wanted to be there at the same time. Willie T., you got to stick up for it. He just tried to save the guys by slowing down some more. On the left, Gugelmin. On the right is Mike Groff. Terrible deal to have happen, but the guy should have known. You can't get that many cars into the turn at one time, Brian.
And there's Adrian Fernandez into the pits, who went inside of Willie T. Ribbs. As we look at Fernandez, there's the Fernandez car on the left. Watch him. Bang,
Goes in
right
there,
here.
Boom, right up over. You see how the tires in open wheel cars will just crawl. Now, whether his left front is bent or not, I really can't tell you.
Paul
but
Tracy.
look at him. Look at him. He's going clear around. Adrian is going clear around the deal to try to get through that traffic jam.
Now here's Robbie Gordon. This is again a replay as he tries to go through following Paul Tracy. Now Tracy stops.
First he's going to go to the right, then he's going to go to the left. He just wants to go someplace where there's no cars. And he finally makes it through. Did you look at him, look over his right shoulder, Brian, to see if anybody else was coming?
Well, Mauricio Gugelmin, that's Willie T. Ribbs, car 24. Ribbs, the first and only black driver in IndyCar racing. Now, the Takati car is Fernandez.
He's being pushed over by Willie T. But Willie T. is also being pushed over by Gugelmin, you see?
And there's Paul Tracy, car 3. Now, this is from Gugelmin, the Brazilian.
Well, it wasn't too complicated. They just can't fit that many cars down there. I think we could just kind of derive that, couldn't we?
I got to tell you something. Our directors, Jim Marshall, Chris Elias, our producer, Doug Sellers, outstanding direction and camera work by our crew here this afternoon. The CBC Sports people. Fernandez is back out on the track. Adrian Fernandez.
Well, that kind of answers that he didn't bend his suspension. I saw his left front, which I thought might have got bent just a little bit in the Gallus car there, but it didn't, so I'm kind of happy for him.
It is not a full course yellow. Onto Lakeshore Boulevard comes Michael Andretti. Andretti is the race leader. He is on lap 73. It's a scheduled 98-lap race. And he's about to go by Adrian Fernandez, who's now running 17th. Fernandez was 4th before that shunt, that collision at the end of Lakeshore Boulevard. So Adrian Fernandez is now 2 laps down and about to be lapped again by the race leader, Michael Andretti. Andretti has now opened up a 40-second lead over Stefan Johansson. Bobby Rahall's 3rd. Emerson Fittipaldi is 4th. Montermini is running 5th. Boycel is running 6th. On board with the race leader, Michael Andretti.
Now that Boycel's come up a long ways. You know, he started 17th, and he's already way up near the front already. So it shows you what an unpredictable race we've had all day. On board with Michael Andretti. That's the air scoop right to the left. Tires on the right, the air scoop, seeing it shaking in the wind. The car is moving again. The camera is mounted on the wing.
There's where the accident occurred at the end of the Lakeshore straightaway as Michael Andretti comes up to the west of Exhibition Stadium. Now the left-hand turn down around the fountain area and up under the Gardner Expressway. He has lapped Adrian Fernandez. Now Jacques Villeneuve has moved to 8th. Scott Goodyear is 9th. Zampedre is 10th. Paul Tracy has moved up to 12th. So Paul Tracy continues his long climb through this field. They're on the 74th of 98 laps.
Now that at least shows you with Paul Tracy that he's really could get some points now. Isn't that kind of neat? These guys all need to get into the top 10. That's the contest. If you can't win the race, you need all the points you can get.
That's Johansson 2nd, pursued by Bobby Rahal, who's 3rd. Sally?
Maurizio Gugelmin was involved in that crash, and can you tell us what happened out there, Maurizio?
Basically, it was a bunch of back markers not looking on their mirrors, and I went around the outside of them, and there was 2 guys on the same lap, which was Fernandez and myself, and 3 slow guys, and they just messed up at the hairpin, and they pushed me out, so it was just a big mess, a pile of cars. They just don't look on their mirrors.
Okay, Maurizio Gugelmin, he's out of this race and very disappointed, as you can imagine. And we see now that Michael Andretti's crew is putting out his tires, so he should be coming in shortly for a pit stop. We'll head over that way.
Carl, hang on a second.
And Stefan Johansson is into the pit, Sally, so a Brazilian is out of the race. An Italian is leading this race, and into the pits comes the Italian race leader. I wonder if this is perhaps an omen for the World Cup soccer match today. Italy is leading Brazil into the pits, and Bobby, why don't you describe it? Comes race leader Michael Andretti.
Well, it would appear it's a normal stop. He's going to get fuel and tires, and that's about all. You see the guy having problems. The first fuel deal he put in was the fuel. The second one was the vent. You got to let the air out when you put the fuel in. Now he's got the fuel in. He's got the air hooked up. Had a little bit of problems with that. The tires went on pretty quick. They were pretty much normal. Everything is okay for Michael.
Michael Andretti is back on the track. Bobby Rahal is still running 2nd. Rahal fails to overtake Michael Andretti. Andretti went into the pits leading by 40 seconds. The lead is now 9.
Incidentally, Brian, this is the last stop for all the cars. There'll be no more fuel stops. They'll go to the end. So whatever they have, if Rahal's got anything left,
there's Rahal.
Now's the time he better go for it because he's just been in the pits himself too.
So now it's Michael Andretti leading Bobby Rahal by 9. It's Michael Andretti, Bobby Rahal, Emerson Fittipaldi, Montermini, Johansson, and Boycel. Back in Toronto, Bobby Rahal goes by or does not go by Hiro Mashusta, one of the back markers on board with Rahal. That great nose cam shot. He is by Mashusta. Now Bobby Rahal has moved to within 5 or 6 seconds of Michael Andretti. We should talk about Michael's pit stop because he had that huge lead when he came in.
Well, it just shows you he had 40 some odd seconds, or 40 seconds roughly, and it just shows you how important that the pit stops are. Penske's the guy that established how important they are. Well, all the teams are copying it. Michael pit crew just lost it. Now, they haven't been running this good all season, so when it came around to their pit stop, they made some bad goof-ups. You could watch the guy just fumbling with the vent and with the fuel deal.
Let's check in with Sally Larvick. Sally?
Okay, Bobby, I can hear you talking a little bit about Michael Andretti's pit stop, and we thought it was a rather long pit stop, and Michael was waving him to get me out of here, get me out of here. And what happened was they didn't get the jack in far enough, so the car came down off the jacks, and they had to raise it up again before they could put the fuel in and to change the tires. So obviously they haven't been in this position in a long time, so it's going to take them a while to really excel in it. But Michael Andretti very disappointed as he peeled out of the pits.
Michael Andretti about to complete his 78th lap. He leads Bobby Rahal by 4.5 seconds. Let's go down and hear from the Rahal camp. Kenny?
Well, I'm with Carl Hogan, and Carl, you obviously thought that Bobby, you were rooting him on to pass Michael when Michael pitted. Did you think Michael's pit was slow and Bobby could have taken him?
Well, they dropped the car on Michael. They dropped his car. We picked up some time there, so we're only 4 seconds behind now, so I think we're back in the hunt.
You thought at one point Stefan Johansson passed under yellow?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you, Carl.
Well, you know, Rahal is back in the hunt. But look at here, so is Emerson Fittipaldi. They haven't left him all day long. Still there.
Emerson Fittipaldi is running third, 4 seconds behind Bobby Rahal. There's the race leader, Michael Andretti. Andretti's lead now 3.43 seconds over Bobby Rahal. We should have just a dynamite finish here in Toronto.
Now, you know, it's nice when it all comes down to this. What did they do during this pit stop? Now, we know they made some mistakes, but should they have changed the car a little bit? Should they have changed the tires to make it handle better? He had a 40-second lead before. He's down to 3 point something right now. That's getting too close for comfort.
Now, a major story in this race. There is Michael Andretti. There is Bobby Rahal. Look at this. He's 3 seconds behind. Paul Tracy has moved up to 7th place. Oh, my. Paul Tracy, who was bumped early in this race, had some front wing damage, is making a move. You're looking at Bobby Rahal now 3.16 seconds behind the race leader, Michael Andretti.
And remember, Emo's just another 3 seconds roughly behind Rahal. So if he's got anything left, if he's got anything he's been hiding, he's going to start coming up with it pretty quick.
About to complete 79 out of 98 laps in Toronto. Bobby Rahal, car 4, the Rahal Hogan Honda engine.
It's not that red nose right behind Rahal. That's Emo catching up.
I was going to say, Emo's now within 2 seconds of Bobby Rahal. Rahal is second. Michael leads it. He's followed by Bobby Rahal, Emerson Fittipaldi. Johansson is fourth. Mario Andretti is fifth. Paul Tracy is now running sixth. Robbie Gordon is seventh. Montermini. There is Ross Bentley from Vancouver, car 39. Bentley is back in 18th place, and he is 3 laps down in this race. On board with the race leader, Michael Andretti. So again, let me give you the top 10. Michael Andretti, Bobby Rahal, Emerson Fittipaldi, Johansson 4th, Mario is 5th, Tracy is 6th, Gordon is 7th, Montermini is 8th, Bobby is 9th, Boycell is 10th, Jacques Villeneuve, by the way, is now 11th, and by Ross Bentley, the Vancouver driver, goes the race leader, Michael Andretti. Ross Bentley calls his car the Ankylosaurus. He says it's like a dinosaur. It's so old, and really you have to give Bentley tremendous credit for persevering with some less than ideal machinery. Michael Andretti has now completed 81 laps.
And there's Bobby Rahal. They're all in the same picture frame right now, so to speak. On board with Bobby Rahal right now. He's got these cars in here. There's Teo Fabi right in front, lapping him. Now that makes it difficult. Rahal was gaining, got down to 3.3 on Michael.
That's Ross Bentley. They just went by. Now Rahal has to get by Teo Fabi. Fabi is running ninth. Rahal had moved to within 2.5 seconds of Michael Andretti, but now loses more time.
But also, Fabi's a nice guy. Look how nice Fabi let him go by. Fabi has class when it comes down to that. He's not competitive. If the guys are laughing at him, he gently moves out of the way. You can't even hardly tell it.
It is shaping up for a great finish here in Toronto. We'll return with live coverage of the 1994 Molson Indy Toronto right after this. Back live in Toronto, car 2 is Emerson Fittipaldi. He's third, 3 seconds behind Bobby Rahal. He is trying to pass Teo Fabi. Fabi is ninth, and Fabi is 1 lap down in this race. There are only 4 cars on the same lap. Andretti, Rahal, Fittipaldi, and Stefan Johansson. Emerson Fittipaldi running third for Roger Penske is by Teo Fabi, who is ninth, and Fabi will now go 2 laps down in this race. The race leader, Michael Andretti. And look at this. That's how close the distance is. There's the second place car, Bobby Rahal. There's the third place car, Emerson Fittipaldi. Oh my, outstanding finish here.
Now, Michael Andretti has been giving it the gas a little bit harder, Brian. I've been watching. He's up to 5 seconds. He went from 3.3 up to 5 seconds now, so he's pulling out all of his trump cards. Not many laps left. He doesn't want to lose this one. He's had a terrible year so far.
Paul Tracy has moved up to 6th. Robbie Gordon has moved up to 7th. Jacques Villeneuve is 11. If you're just joining us, folks, Al Unser Jr. went out with mechanical problems after just a couple of laps. You're on board into turn 1 with Michael Andretti. Al Jr. went out. And we thought this man, Michael Andretti, might have bumped Paul Tracy. There was some damage to the right side of Tracy's front wing. Tracy had to go back to the back of the field under a full course yellow, and just a magnificent job of driving by Paul Tracy as he is up into 6th place. Michael Andretti's lead, and you're right, Bobby, as he pursues the back markers. You're right, his lead is now up to 6 seconds. Car 60 is Andrea Montermini, and he goes by Montermini, who is in 8th place.
Well, that just shows that Michael had a little bit of reserve left. He's really trying to win this race. As I said before, he's had a terrible year. Other than winning in Australia, he just hasn't gone fast all year. He's fast today. He doesn't want to lose it for whatever the reasons might be. So he sloughs off or slows down a little bit when he can. And now, when he needs a little bit of gap right here on this guy, Bobby Rahal, he just goes ahead and gives it to him. Rahal, on the other hand, remember, always Honda development engines, but they're obviously running much better today than they have all year.
The 1992 PPG IndyCar champion, Bobby Rahal. That's Stefan Johansson's car. Johansson is running 4th. And we see a shot of Jacques Villeneuve. Car 40 is Scott Goodyear. Goodyear is 12. Jacques Villeneuve is 11. There is Jacques Villeneuve, car 12. Jacques is running 11th. Scott Goodyear in car 40 is running 12th. The rest of the Canadians, Ross Bentley is 18th, and Claude Bourbonnais is out of the race. And of course, Paul Tracy is running in 6th place. On board now with Scott Goodyear as he pursues Villeneuve, and into the pits comes Paul Tracy.
Now that was kind of an ill-timed pit stop now, but he can't help it, you know. But right towards the end of the race, this is going to cost him some valuable time, maybe some bad positions, or some positions rather.
Michael Andretti has completed 86. There's Jacques Villeneuve. Villeneuve moves up. Michael Andretti has completed 86 out of 98 laps here in Toronto. Through the start-finish area comes Jacques Villeneuve, pursued by Scott Goodyear. They are running 11th and 12th, respectively.
I started to bring up a little while ago that Scott Goodyear, the Canadian boy that Mario just passed Johansson. Look at that. Now, that was a good pass.
Mario has now gone in to 4th place. So Mario Andretti is 4th. Big day for Italy. The Andretti's running 1st and 4th in Toronto, with an American and a Brazilian in between. Well, Italian-Americans, but
yes.
Mario said today, you can call me Italian, as the day will belong to Italy.
That's right. That kind of snuck up on us. Mario kind of snuck up and got Johansson without me even seeing it there. I let that one go a little bit.
So Mario Andretti making his 400th career start in IndyCar racing has moved into 4th place.
Robbie Gordon right behind him there, still struggling along, down a little bit. Our pole sitter was Robbie Gordon too, incidentally.
Robbie Gordon had tire problems, if you weren't with us. The tires shredded. Nigel Mansell also had tire problems. Mansell is out of this race. 19 cars remaining. That's Maschusta, one of the back markers, and car 8 is the race leader, Michael Andretti. And Bobby Unser, he now has opened it up to 8 seconds over Bobby Rahal. Michael goes by Hiro Maschusta.
Yes, it's really not a contest. As we see him pulling away, we know that Michael does have a little reserve over Bobby Rahal. And obviously, Rahal seems to be in pretty good shape as opposed to Emerson.
Paul Tracy has dropped down to 8th with 10 laps to go. It's Michael Andretti. Bobby Rahal 2nd, Emerson Fittipaldi 3rd, Mario Andretti is 4th, Johansson is 5th, Montermini is 6th, Robbie Gordon is 7th, Paul Tracy is 8th, Teo Fabi is 9th, and Jacques Villeneuve is 10th, with Scott Goodyear running 12th.
I started to mention about Scott Goodyear a little while ago. On the right-hand side there, in the number 40, the red Bud car. There's a team belongs to Kenny Bernstein, sponsored by Budweiser. Theoretically has an awful lot of money to work with this year, but they have just not gelled. The driver, the team, they just have not worked together very good. There's bad feelings in that team, and obviously there's going to be a split at the end of the year.
Bobby Rahal now 8.11 seconds behind the race leader, Michael Andretti. Emerson Fittipaldi makes the pass, so Fittipaldi goes by Andrea Montermini. Montermini is 6th and has been lapped by Emerson Fittipaldi, who is running 3rd. Through the start-finish area comes Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson Fittipaldi is 2 seconds behind Rahal, who is 2nd, and 9.96 seconds behind the race leader, Michael Andretti.
Now you can see Emil right there in the red and white car. Rahal is right. Look at them, real close together now, or getting real close. Emerson has to start. He realizes the laps are running down. Look at the difference in the groove that they took through there. Rahal was real tight. Emil was way out wide. The track is very slippery right now. They're looking for dry spots to run on. Dry spots mean not much rubber and not much oil. The rubber makes the track slippery, but so does the oil and water or any liquids that might be on the track. Very often the rubber, Brian, that comes off the tires comes off in little tiny chunks, little tiny balls, and it lays just outside the groove. If a guy gets into that, it's just like being on ice.
The nose cam from Bobby Rahal as he goes by Maschusta. The leaders have now completed 90 of 98 laps. So Bobby Rahal trailing by 8.91 seconds. You see, he has now lost Andretti. Andretti is out of sight already to turn 3. But look at this, Fittipaldi's about to make a move. No, on Bobby Rahal.
And Rahal, did you see his tire smoke? He saw Emerson coming. He drove in there deeper than usual. But look at this. Emo is really working on him hard. Now the question is, who works the best on the slippery track? Look at their different grooves. Look at the different things that they try. Emerson will probably try to pass him under braking, going either into number 1 turn or number 3 turn.
I'm wondering, Rahal had a very early stop. I'm wondering about tires and fuel for Rahal as he now begins to open it up a bit on Fittipaldi, but Fittipaldi reels him in again coming into the turn.
Well, this is going down into turn 1 where we would have expected possibly a pass or at least an attempted pass. Now we're going down the back straightaway. Even though it looks like turns to you, it's wide open, 190 miles an hour. This is the second good place to pass. Now Rahal, Emo's pulling up, doesn't seem to get... Look how hard Rahal is driving.
Oh my! Michael Andretti now leads by 11 seconds. Jim Robinson and our crew doing a great job staying with this battle, because this is the battle. And as you saw, Rahal is doing everything to stay in front of Fittipaldi.
Remember, that's Honda Power and an Elmore, the Penske Elmore.
On board with Bobby Rahal, about to complete 91 laps. It's a 98-lap race. Rahal now an even 11 seconds behind.
Emerson's really on him hard.
And there's the battle for 5th place. Paul Tracy and...
That's Robbie Gordon right in front of him there. Robbie Gordon right in front of Paul Tracy. I mistook that car because it looks so much like Emerson's car.
No, that's Paul Tracy, car 3. And let's see what he does to Robbie Gordon. He's all over him into turn 3. Doesn't get by. Now, a great story for these two drivers. Young Robbie Gordon, young Paul Tracy, running 5th and 6th, respectively. Gordon was the pole sitter, had tire problems. Tracy was bumped early in the race. They have just worked their way back up through this field.
And Gordon is really blocking Tracy. Wherever he thinks Tracy's going to be, he's there.
Michael Andretti, the race leader, has completed 93 laps, 98-lap race. Paul Tracy trying to go by Robbie Gordon to move into 5th. Michael Andretti now by 11 seconds over Bobby Rahal. Let's see if he can pass into turn 1. Tracy is all over Gordon.
Boy, you can't run any closer than that without hitting. They're getting awfully close. Almost uncomfortably close. Tracy's got speed on him. He's just having a hard time passing.
On Lakeshore Boulevard, Robbie Gordon will try to block him.
He's blocking him really bad. This is the kind of stuff the officials want to try to keep away from. Look at that. Gordon got in a little bit too deep. He spent all of his time trying to block Tracy instead of worrying about his driving. That wasn't so good on Robbie Gordon's part.
Not a smart move by Gordon. He gets what he deserves as Tracy has now moved into 5th place. So Paul Tracy is running in 5th place, and Bobby Unser, that's where he started the day.
Well, these are the kind of things that Wally Dallenbeck would like to stop. Too much rear brake on his car. He spent all of his time, like I said, worrying about blocking Tracy as opposed to just driving his own race. He would have done better just driving his own race, in my opinion.
So Penske has 2 cars in the top 5. Fittipaldi is running 3rd, and this man, Paul Tracy, is now running 5th.
Our head's got to be off to Tracy. He's come from a long ways back. To be in the top 5 is really something. He hasn't had an easy day by any means.
And you know, Paul Tracy is often criticized for being reckless. There's the race leader, Michael Andretti, on the 95th lap. It's a 98-lap race. The lead is 10.83 seconds over Bobby Rahal, but Paul Tracy, often criticized Bobby Unser for being reckless, has driven an absolutely brilliant race here in Toronto this afternoon after going to the back of the field when he was bumped in that early accident at the end of turn 3.
This has been one of the most exciting races I've seen in a long time. And it's because we never know what's going to happen, and it's just changed constantly. The only thing that's been the same for a long time, then, of course, right there, Michael Andretti leading the race.
Michael Andretti is the leader. Bobby Rahal is a distant second, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi. There's Rahal, and there's Fittipaldi.
Now, if I had to guess right now, I'd say that Emo said, hey, I gave it my college try. Rahal's just trying harder than I am, and if I try to pass him, I'm going to have to hit him. Look at his brakes locking up. The track is so slippery.
That's Zampedri, Alessandro Zampedri, Adrian Fernandez going by.
Look at him pleading for the guys to get him out of here right near the end of the race, and yes, the end of the tires.
He was running 15th at the time, so Alessandro Zampedri, driving the Lola Ford Cosworth for Dale Coyne, is out of the race. And through the start-finish area, with 2 laps to go, is the race leader, Michael Andretti. So 2 laps to go for Michael Andretti as he looks to be on course to win for a record 4th time in Toronto.
And remember, it's not over till it's over. Michael's being awfully careful because the racetrack is obviously very slippery.
You got that right, Yogi. Michael Andretti is through turn 3.
Really conservative now.
He is being conservative. His lead rather, is dropped to 9.83 seconds over Bobby Rahal. You see Rahal there running 2nd. Emerson Fittipaldi running 3rd. Mario Andretti is running 4th. Paul Tracy is running 5th. Robbie Gordon is 6th.
Emo's just saying to himself, I've got 3rd place. I need the points desperately bad. He tried Rahal hard, worked him over good, but couldn't get by. There's Michael coming across the start-finish line. There's a white flag. 1 lap to go. Now is the time he really doesn't want to make a mistake. Be careful.
So it appears that Michael Andretti, a winner in Toronto, and he's just behind his father, Mario, who is running 4th. Mario is 4th and possibly about to be lapped by his son. What a scene this is. The great Mario, his last race in Toronto, and his son Michael about to win for a record 4th time.
And he knows that Michael is there. He's been told by his radio. Michael knows that's his dad. No reason to pass him. He really needs to get around the checkered flag. If he doesn't get there, the whole thing for the day would be gone.
It's a Reynard chassis with a Ford Cosworth engine. Michael Andretti won in Toronto in '89, won here in '91, and again in '92.
And if he makes it to the finish, which I think he will, that'll be the 2nd win right now for the Reynard chassis, and here he comes.
It's official. Michael Andretti has won the 1990 94 Molson Indy Toronto. Michael Andretti raises the right hand into the air. Bobby Rahal is second as he goes around turn one, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi, who's third. Mario Andretti will be fourth. Paul Tracy with a brilliant drive will finish fifth. But Michael Andretti back after a bitter disappointment in Formula One. There's Bobby Rahal. He's very happy to finish second on board with Rahal. Fittipaldi third. But Michael Andretti back after a disastrous year in Formula One. Started with a win in Australia, Bobby. It's been all Penske since then. But I'll tell you what, Chip Ganassi and Michael Andretti doing the job here today in Toronto. There's Mario Andretti, who will finish fourth, has finished fourth.
Monan, just remember that name. Monan is the guy that turned that team around. But just imagine the happy guys in first and second place. Bobby Rahal had a terrible year so far. Second, Michael Andretti, terrible year so far, finished first. Mario was able to finish the race. What a nice thing for his last race here.
Michael Andretti waves to the fans in Toronto. Michael Andretti wins, followed by Bobby Rahal, Emerson Fittipaldi, Mario Andretti fourth, Paul Tracy fifth, Robbie Gordon sixth, Montermine they list as seventh, Bobby is eighth, Jacques Villeneuve is ninth, and Scott Goodyear is 10th. Michael Andretti won the opening race in Australia. He was fifth in Detroit, fourth in Milwaukee, and sixth in the Indy 500. And Ken Daniels, as he backs in, let's go down to you.
Well, Michael was gone last year for Formula One, but this is 3 straight wins for Michael Andretti here in Toronto, and obviously he knows this racetrack very well and knows how to win here. Michael being congratulated by his team, and of course he won the first race of the season. It's been a long time since what was 7 straight Penske victories, but Michael, if we can get a word today, what took so long after the first race of the year to finally find what you needed to beat the Penskes?
Well, it took a while, but you know, we added Mo Nunn to the team in last race, and the combination of Mo Nunn and Julian Roberts seems to really work out. They did a great job this whole weekend. Gave me a good car, good consistent car, and you know, that was a difference, I think, that, you know, from the rest of the year.
And obviously, you knowing this track so well and having the confidence here helps too.
Yeah, I love it here. You know, it's been a great place for me. I love Toronto. I love Canada. You know, it's just there's something about this place.
And just very quickly, some bumping early. Tracy said you'd bumped, and Nigel, did you feel that at all?
I didn't feel Tracy, but me and Nigel, he put me wide into the tires once, and then I hit him in the back other time, but just racing.
Okay, Michael, thank you. Michael Andretti, let's go to Sally.
Okay, with Bobby Rahal, you would think that Bobby Rahal won this race. He's so happy. It's been a long time coming for the Honda to be this far up, Bobby.
Well, the car handled beautifully. You know, we struggled a little bit down the straights, but they're making progress, and you know, I think we were easier on the tires, and you know, we were able to run. We made a change right at the end there, and the car. I mean, we got into 59s, which is almost a little bit worse than what we qualified at. So, car ran great. Pit stops were awesome. Just, you know, we didn't win, but second feels awfully good.
You know, the engine that you had on Friday, the new developed engine, blew, and you went back to the old reliable one, and it seemed to work well for you.
Yeah, this engine did a good job for us in Milwaukee, too. And
is that telling you something?
Well, I don't know. We've got a new engine to try this next week. Hopefully, we get the car working like it is, keep it working and maybe a little bit better. I think we got a chance.
Okay, one of these days we'll see you in Victory Circle. Thank you, Bobby Rahal.
Okay, and thank you, Sally. I am now with Emerson Fittipaldi. Emo, a third place today, but where would you rather be, here or Pasadena?
Well, I love here, and that's a shame what happened. When I was changing the mixture, I switched off the ignition. That's when Bobby caught me and passed me. The car was really doing well. I'm happy to finish third to get more points in the championship, but potential should be second or first.
Yeah, but that was key for you, just to keep running, especially with Little Al out early.
Well, that's good. I got 14 points. That's very important for the championship.
Now, what's next for you today, Emo, need I ask?
Well, I hope Brazil wins. I mean, the whole country is behind us. It'll be incredible if Brazil wins.
Emerson Fittipaldi is going to enjoy the game right now. Brazil taking on Italy. Brian?
Well, I'll tell you what, Mario and Michael are Americans, Bobby, but they told me they're Italians for today, and the Italians have prevailed so far here. I want to know something. You talked about Mo Nunn being the difference all day long And the first thing Michael Andretti does is thank Mo Nunn.
Well, and they should, because it's all they've changed on that team. They spend their millions and millions of dollars, but it just took one guy, the renegade, Mo Nunn.